This week's sponsor is Anchor.fm. In our experience at Podcasters, Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. They have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great, and they'll distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. If you're interested in monetizing your podcast, Anchor sets you up with sponsors with no minimum listenership. What could be easier than that? Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Welcome to the Plus Ultra My Hero Academia podcast. I'm DJ Grand, part of the big three of the podcasters from My Hero, and I'm joined by the all might of podcasters, Autumn.
Hi.
As well as, I wouldn't know, what character should we make Ryan? Ryan, our producer.
I'm the guy that they can't find in these episodes. That's, in the background. If you catch
Who's
my
the
drift.
shy guy, the big three?
Amajiki?
That's who he is.
Are you saying I'm No, God.
Anyways, welcome back. Check us out go to anchor.fm and look the Plus Ultra My Hero Academia podcast, and hopefully donate if you like, or just listen there. We're going to finish up season 1, or actually we'll go to the first 2 in this podcast, and we'll finish up the season 1 on the next podcast. And so we're starting with episode 10, Encounter of the Unknown. And once again, these summaries are all mostly from fandom.com, so you can check it out there as well. Villains appear in the plaza of the USJ, Unforeseen Simulation Joint, which is a dumb name. Led by 3 mysterious villains. One of them notices that All Might is not among the class. He and his colleague review that All Might was supposed to be teaching the class according to the schedule procured from the previous day. So their intelligence failed them. Shoto Ozawa, Eraserhead, right?
Yes.
Recognizes that the villains are truly the recent UA intruders, not the press. One of the villains, Tomura Shigaraki, all hands on deck. Sorry. Is
You should
disappointed.
really write in the names, you have some pretty good ones.
Is disappointed that All Might is absent. He ponders if the symbol of peace will arrive after they've murdered the students. Ozawa takes charge, ordering 13 to evacuate the students and contact UA High. Midoriya has concerns about Ozawa fighting against the villains, but Eraserhead assures him and leaps into the battle. A firing squad sets their sights on Eraserhead, but he uses his quirk to cancel each of theirs out and knock them out using his capture weapon. The villains quickly recognize him as the pro hero Eraserhead, and reveal his quirk before a mutant-type quirk-using villain confronts him. The villain knows Eraserhead's quirk can't cancel him out and attacks. Eraserhead easily counters him by keeping the villain at a distance using the capturing weapon. Meanwhile, Midoriya realizes he's underestimated his teacher as Ida tells him...
I knew you were going to do that.
Ida. It's spelled Ida. Okay, anyways. Tells his surprised friends to move as they follow 13 and Class 1A in an attempt to evacuate. But the villain,
Kurogiri.
you should be reading this, stops them by using his warping quirk. He introduces himself as a member of the League of Villains and discloses that their goal is to kill All Might. Bakugo and Kirishima is good enough. Hastily attacks, but to no avail. Before 13 can use her quirk on him,
Kurogiri
separates the class by warping them into his various simulation zones. Midoriya is transported underwater into the shipwreck zone. A shark-like villain attempts to devour him. He should be called Jaws. But he is sent drowning by a kick from Sue. Right?
Sue, yeah.
After dispatching the villain, Sue uses her tongue to throw Midoriya on the ship and follows close behind with Minoru Mineta in tow. He gave her a tongue. She gave him a tongue lash. They talked about their concerns regarding the villain's plan to kill All Might. Midoriya claims that it's the class's job to be the heroes and protect All Might. Todoroki, Bakugo, Kirishima.
No.
And several other members of Class 1A fight back against the villains after being transported into their own respective simulation zones. At UA, at the nurse's office, All Might tries to contact 13 and Izawa, but is unable to. All Might wants to go to the USJ in hero form soon, but Principal Nezu, I knew that, the little mouse cat dog, keeps him occupied. Nezu believes All Might needs to be a more responsible teacher, and lectures him for exhausting himself with hero work. Back at the USJ, 13 outlines that Ida
Yeah.
needs to run back to the school for help because they are unable to call for help from the USJ. Ida is hesitant, believing that leaving his classmates behind is disgraceful. His classmates restore his confidence and encourage him to use his quirk to save others as rescue training was intended.
Kurogi.
Overhears 13's plans and tries to intervene, but the space hero uses her quirk to suck him into a black hole. Villains have Midoriya, Mineta, and Sue their ship surrounded, and they refuse to board it. While Midoriya strategizes, Mineta panics and fears the worst. Not like panic, he cries like a baby. Midoriya recognizes that the villains don't have any information about the students' quirks and are being cautious. Using information from his peers and their quirks, Midoriya creates a plan. A villain uses his water manipulation quirk to strike the ship and breaks it into pieces. Before the ship sinks, Midoriya enacts his plan. He jumps off the ship and uses Delaware Smash on the surface of the water and makes it spread out and collect rapidly back together. The converged water traps the villains in a vortex mixed with Mineta's sticky spheres, which keep them stuck to each other. With the villains defeated, Sue uses her tongue to grab her comrades and escape the shipwreck zone. And that ends episode 10. So what do we think? Autumn, what's your thoughts on that?
It's okay. It's mostly just Midoriya or Deku. You keep calling Midoriya. It's Deku. It's mostly just Deku, like, strategizing kind of the whole episode. And then them being like, All Might's not here. Just complaining the whole time that All Might was not there.
How about you, Ron? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a lot of the, where's All Might? Even from the kid's side to, the villain side too.
Mm-hmm.
But again, Eraserhead getting into action and
yeah,
stuff
that
is
was
the
good.
greatest.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so good.
Oh, absolutely. And I
Yeah.
love his hair too.
Yeah, and it's like all the stuff you've been waiting for, that because he's been like a badass and all that since he's been teaching them, but he hasn't acted this way, like protecting them and being a pro hero. So it's just really cool to see.
Yeah, it was, and it shows that he's competent. He's efficacious with his quirk and his ability to wrap around. And he was kicking butt too. He was some karate kicks and moves in there.
And like Deku's saying, because it's like Deku is like the analyst basically, and he's just like telling this most experienced hero, he's like, but you can only use your quirk that that's like you're a long range guy, you're stealth and all this, and he's like, you can only you can't have like one trick or something like that, which is just like there's always more to people and other heroes and stuff like that.
Well, in a way he's right, because and later when they they bring out the flaw, but that's okay. It once again, this episode shows that Eraserhead's a badass.
Yeah, and since the whole fight too, it's both sides. It's like the villains are trying to figure out all the students and the basically the good guys in there and like what they're doing, since they don't understand as much either. And same with the Eraserhead, it's like he's just using basically, because he can like obviously mask a lot if he's he's obviously very strong and he has all these like other skills, but once you like kind of get down to it, which the better villains get to, then it's like a different story. So
what did you think of Sticky Balls or Mineta's little...
I forgot. Well, again, since when I'm rewatching this dubbed, I thought it was funny that he mentioned frog floaties, and I was like, whoa, he really talks to his female students very differently.
Oh, he even talked about not
Momo
getting
Momo.
Yeah.
Well, he said he wouldn't touch her. He didn't get a chance to before he was going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
So
which
it
I
It was a little bit perverted, but
I mean, that
very
is his
perverted.
character. I just like always forget. Like
Well, my
how much
biggest
that
problem
is.
with him in this particular episode is that
Cried.
well, yeah, that too, but so does Midoriya. But
He gets better.
Yeah,
no, he does. No, but the point is, I think he showed that he doesn't belong in UA because how he acted under pressure. I mean, he just, at least at that point, maybe he grows later and gets better, but at that point, I don't think he belonged there.
there's like a lot of things in anime that, in like a school setting or like something like this, where there's a class and there may be like immature people and stuff like that, or a character like that. I can think of like other ones that where they go later in the story and stuff. It would be interesting because he's definitely going to be that character that is going to be totally different when he's older, or just whenever there's some time skip or something. That's obviously going to happen. But I do wonder what that's going to be like, since first of all, he is like a Mickey Mouse size person.
And his balls make him look like Mickey Mouse
Yeah,
in his
that
ears.
too.
So.
And it's like his power is not that dumb. Like
No, it's not.
It can be
It's
useful
okay.
Yeah.
regarding the situation.
It's
And
not
like-
the greatest, but it's not the worst either. I mean, the
Yeah.
bubble chick, she the one who blows bubbles. That's the worst quirk.
Yeah, and it's like, and she's one of the top 3. Or is she one of the top 3?
No,
Or is it-
she works under
Oh yeah,
Night Eye.
Night Eye. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one. Okay, but
I mean, if Night Eye let her in,
yeah, she's got. She's obviously worthy and
Come on.
stuff.
I feel like Monty Python. What are you gonna do? Blow bubbles at me? I mean,
Well, that's what the villain said, and then she took him out. So
you're gonna get soap in my eye.
Gonna
That's
say
the point.
there's actually a lot of anime that have like bubble characters.
Really?
I like-
Caesar.
Yeah, that's
Immediately.
it. I was like, there is a JoJo character.
It's
Oh
Caesar.
no, evil,
And you
evil.
He's the bubble guy. He
And
has
you-
like the skin of.
Yeah,
Bubble.
and you don't mess with his bubble tech.
Oh,
He'll mess you up, man.
oh, we can't bring evil into this podcast. Oh no,
But yeah, Meta, is that how you say it, right?
Mineta.
Mineta, yeah. Yeah, it sounds like antenna. That's like how I was like trying to remember it. So, but yeah, he's it's like he's just basically the comic relief through a lot of
little
this.
bit, and the perv.
yeah, of course. Which
I
is
did notice that.
Japanese comic relief, basically.
I did notice that there were kind of like two sets of students, because the villains were. I mean, they weren't technically students, but they were low level.
Yeah, they're all
villains.
like grunts.
Yeah, so they're kind of like students themselves.
Yeah.
So they basically
With no
brought their own.
teachers.
Yes.
Yeah.
They brought their own students. We'll call them rogue students. They brought
Very
their own
true.
students
Very
in to fight these battles. I think most of it was just a distraction, though, because I think the ultimate goal is obviously to get All Might, as they
That was the
always
goal.
monologue.
Yeah.
And
Everybody monologues in this.
yes,
Yeah,
I think that's the
how it
problem
is.
too. With it. Everyone tells them what they're gonna do, what they're thinking, what their next hit's gonna
I've
be.
kind of like figured out that like once they start monologuing, they're just like, I'm gonna do this thing. They're not gonna do it. That's
Yeah.
not gonna happen. If they don't say it, then they'll do it.
Or it happens literally after their thought. And
Yeah.
It's like, oh, so you either predicted that or you weren't ready for it.
Yeah.
Which goes with the whole thing with all these episodes. That's funny is the last second, I'll just say, of every decision.
Yeah.
Or it's like, I think I should do that. I should do that. I should do that. Maybe I should do that. Guy across the I should do that. Maybe you should do it. If he does that, I'll do that. And then I'll do that. But if he does it, and it's like all those things, it's like, well, if someone did something right now, probably
Take
something would
action.
happen. But that's definitely
well,
anime. That's
even
very
though he
anime.
was monologuing, I do think it did show Midoriya's analytic
His
abilities.
makes sense because
No,
he's
it does. It does.
analyzing
He's
everything.
still monologuing,
Most of the
but
time-
he's showing his analytic ability.
It is weird when it goes to other people and stuff, but it's his can get long, but it's like, yeah, he is supposed to be the examiner, that's
yeah,
like
his
thing.
makes sense, but like everyone else, it's like
And now it's like, shut up.
certain characters it does make sense, like when Todoroki or Bakugo do it because they are smart. So I
Yeah.
could imagine them doing it, but if it's like some random villain doing it, I'm like,
And then it's like sometimes it's like, why do I need to hear you talk?
yeah,
Like,
it's like
you're-
do it.
You're gonna jump in anyway.
This takes me back to the old James Bond villains, because they always monologued and
Yeah.
told everyone what they were going to do. I mean, is that where this comes from? Is that where this manifests from?
Probably. I mean, there is always that, and like storytelling and stuff like that. So
Well, you obviously can't read their thoughts. You can't do. It's not like on the comics or
Yeah.
the manga where they show a thought bubble. So I guess in a way you kind of have
Yeah,
to
that's kinda how they
show
do
them
it.
thinking,
Yeah.
but it can get out of hand.
It's just the to me, it's always like the monologue and the time. And again, this is, these are, 22-minute, 30-minute episodes or whatever you want to say it is. And it's, all these actions happen, and they're obviously, it's like, if you were in a fight, things happen so fast and it's all a blur and blah, blah, blah. And people are like, well, if I do this, I do that. But then when you're seeing these things in shows, it's just always weird because they're like, that literally was 30 seconds. But it's like, that was 10 minutes. And like, no one could have like shot a gun or shot a fireball or, punched.
Yeah.
Just saw what happened. Because like, I think I would put my money on if they did it this one way, it probably would end up good for either good or bad, But again, that's just part of the storytelling of it.
No, it is. And I guess you say it's in the heart of anime.
It's in
Oh, yeah.
pretty much
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah,
So.
so
I have another thing too, because
Go
the
ahead.
principal, I thought this was funny because in that talk when All Might's in there and he's just like trying to figure out what's going on, like I haven't heard from them and all this stuff, and then the principal comes in and he says like he's not a dog, a cat, or something, like he
Like a bear, yeah.
He's like, no one knows who I am, and he's not even monologuing, he's saying this out loud.
Okay, what is he?
I don't know. He says no one
Well,
knows who
He's
he
the
is.
He
principal.
can't be
Yeah.
a
You're right. That's what he says.
he can't be a bear because he's got a tail, and bears don't have that kind of tail.
He's a mouse.
He's a damn rat.
He's a
Yeah,
muskrat or
Yeah,
something.
something like
mouse
that.
/ rat.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
he's probably a
whatever.
mouse. He's
And then I noticed that All Might, always calls him Sir. But then when he started pouring tea, and because he was like, you got to stay here because no matter what you do, you're just going to be wasting time. And he...
with a T comes a lecture.
Yeah.
No, well, yeah, he's like talking about philosophy or something. But All Might says that when she pours tea, this is always like going into something. But he says she, and I'm like, what? Like, I don't know if I read that wrong.
Oh,
or,
he's a girl.
or-
He's a she. She's
No,
a
it's
he.
okay. I think it was just either reading it wrong or just
Yeah.
they screwed
I'll have
up.
to double check that. Don't quote me on that. But I
Oh, they're
wrote it down because I was reading
They're
it.
getting
'cause-
into transgender now, are they?
but this is, I mean,
I'm kidding.
yeah, and it's like Sir can be, whatever. It's like that's like another thing, but I just didn't notice that the first time around.
No, I didn't notice it either, and I always took him to be a guy, even though he does have a kind of high
No,
voice,
it
so it
is.
could go either way. But it definitely is male.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
There you go.
All Might
I'm glad-
podcasters have settled it. Smack
The
gave
one,
the Delaware
the
smash.
one that
Got the
actually,
United States smash.
the one that actually is up for debate is 13.
I was
That
gonna,
one's up
I think
for debate.
Yeah.
I think 13's a female.
I just put 13, and the
I'm
next
pretty-
one is
Well,
what
13's
the-
a number,
I
what I
put
can technical.
WTF. What is 13? Because
It's true.
we'll talk about that next one. So
It's true. So are we done with episode 10 then? Anyone
You
else
want
have?
me to read it?
Please
Because
go right
you're
ahead.
not
That way
gonna
I don't
do
have to
it right.
stumble over this.
so this will be for 11.
Oh yeah, we're
Yep.
moving on to episode 11. The title
Game over.
is Game Over.
Okay. Midoriya, Mineta, and Sue escape the shipwreck zone, having just defeated a group of villains there with the combined efforts of their quirks and quick thinking. They discuss their next course of action and agree that they should head for the exit and avoid the Central Plaza entirely. The Central Plaza is where Eraserhead is battling a large group of villains. Midoriya believes that this will only end up exhausting their teacher and decides that they should go try and help. In the landslide zone, Todoroki freezes a number of villains as soon as they all work there. He evaluates the situation and deduces that the villains who accompanied Shigaraki and Kurogiri are nothing but small-time thugs. Two more evildoers try and get the drop on Todoroki, but he easily evades their attacks and freezes their bodies.
Because Todoroki's the best.
Trying to gather more information about the current conflict, Todoroki interrogates the incapacitated villains. He warns them that if they remain frozen, they will die of hypothermia, and offers to unfreeze them in exchange for information about the villains' plans to kill All Might. That whole scene's pretty funny.
It's dark.
Extortion.
It's very
Think
dark,
about it.
yeah.
Yes,
Aren't you
it is.
embarrassed you're getting defeated by a child?
That's it. I'd be like, kill me.
Concurrently at the mountain zone, Denki Kaminari, Kyoko Jiro, and Momo Yarozu are surrounded by villains. Momo and Jiro repel a few attacks using weapons created by their former's quirk. Kaminari explains that his attack cannot be effective in a situation like the current one and asks for a weapon as well. His quirk uses by surrounding his body with electricity, but if it shoots out, he risks friendly fire. Thinking on her feet, Jiro kicks him into a group of villains, electrocuting them. Momo uses her creation quirk to create a thick insulation sheet to protect her and Jiro. With no risk to his friends, Kaminari electrocutes the entire area and disables all the villains. Back at the USJ entrance, Eraserhead continues to repel villains at the Central Plaza until he is confronted by Shigaraki. The ringleader manages to damage Eraserhead's elbow using his disintegration. It's called Decay. His Decay quirk. Eraserhead swiftly retreats as Shigaraki points out the weakness of his quirk, but compliments him on lasting before the hero is suddenly challenged by a large, monstrous villain. 13 tries to use her quirk to destroy Kurogiri, but he turns it on her and puts the rescue hero out of commission. Ida tries to escape through the exit and Kurogiri cuts him off. Mozo Shoji grabs Kurogiri, giving Ida a path to exit. Midoriya, Sue, and Mineta reach the Central Plaza only to find that the teacher has been defeated by the bio-engineered monster Nomu. In a building at the ruin zone, Katsuki Bakugo and Ejiro Kirishima finish off the remaining villains. Kirishima wants to go save his classmates, worried that they don't have the offensive ability that he and Bakugo do. Bakugo argues that their peers can handle themselves against the weaker villains and that he should focus on defeating Kurogiri, which would trap the remaining villains in the USJ. Kirishima is impressed by Bakugo's calm and rational demeanor, having become used to his angry and aggressive personality. Meanwhile, at the other zones, members of Class 1A continue to battle against the villains. I decided to read this so I could read the Bakugo. Ida makes a mad dash for the exit, but Kurogiri remains hot on his tail. With the combined efforts of Uraraka, Hanto Sero, and Rikido Sato, Kurogiri is held off long enough for Ida to escape and go find help. Having allowed Ida to call for backup, Kurogiri declares that the villain's plans ruined and warps back to Shigaraki's side. He informs his leader that 13 has been dealt with, but he allowed a student to escape, much to Shigaraki's frustration. Knowing that their group can't fight off reinforcements, the villains decide to retreat, but not before killing the remaining students. Shigaraki swiftly accosts Sue and her friends, nearly ending her with decay, before Eraserhead uses his quirk to stop the villain. Trying to save his friend, Midoriya attempts to use a smash on Shigaraki, but is intercepted by Nomu. Midoriya noticed that his arm wasn't broken as a result, but also that the attack had no effect on Nomu. Shigaraki attacks the students again, but they are saved by All Might's sudden arrival.
First of all, I have to say, she was taught to read well, wasn't she?
Who was her pro hero? Rush Boss.
That's right.
Yeah.
But anyways, what do we think? What do you think, Autumn? You go first.
I got a Bakugo scene out of it, so it's good.
Yeah, it was kind of out of Bakugo's character to be acted rationally when the guy is awful of anger.
Well, and he comes back in like in this and like in the other episodes too coming up, and it's just funny. I mean, it's like things get more serious, and since their characters aren't like fleshed out yet, and it was just basically like the Bakugo fight and stuff. It's cool seeing them being like, and that's like the stone guy. Is that
Kirishima?
Right.
Yes.
Stone guy. I thought it was hard.
Yeah, hard. But like he's kind of monologuing for Bakugo in a lot of ways, being like, "You're different. You're different. You're different. You're different." He's like, "Shut up."
Bakugo's getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
But it's cool to see that because it's like he is doing all the same stuff, but he's being more like calculated and just like kind of learning.
I think we also see the origin of their friendship.
For sure.
Oh yeah, they have friendship.
Yeah. So. Well, what other is this the episode where all hands on deck kind of gives his little philosophy thing?
No, that's
next episode.
Is that the next episode?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But so what do you think of the Numu and the Biogen? Nomu.
I like the Nomu, especially this one. The other ones, since it's like they end up being like this abundance of, the bio bad guys and stuff like that. But the first Nomu is really cool because he's just like this dumb Pokemon they have,
yeah.
and it's like since he is, it's very impressive that he's basically All Might, just like controlled,
Just a stupid one.
Yeah, but it's like it's just cool. It's like it's an interesting, trump card that they have that they, especially when Eraserhead like fights him and he's useless against it, and it's just dangerous. You like see, and he like has no emotion, and he's literally would just do anything to anybody, even if it was one of the students. It's like it's it's just more scary than even Shigaraki and all that stuff. So
it was kind of ironic that his brain is exposed, but he's not very smart.
I know. Well, he's probably getting too much oxygen in there. I don't know. But yeah, it's like his design's really cool because he's like this, just like deformed, and he's kind of shaped like All Might in a lot of ways. But it's a lot of the students, call him like a bird brain and all this stuff. And so he does have like a beak, shaped head and stuff.
And he's stupid. It's the bird brain fits.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely just a tool.
Not stupid. He's slow.
Yeah. Well, it's like he's a made weapon. So, but they obviously have different ones as like the series goes on. But this first one introduced into like the series, I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
So.
Did you notice how they were talking as if it was a video game, that battling big bosses and all? Did you pick up on that too?
Like that's his whole thing.
That's his whole
Is
thing.
it?
He
Is
thinks
that
it's
really
a
his
game.
thing? He thinks everything's just a video game.
Yeah, gotta get to the next level.
That's how it is.
Well, I guess he got to the next level with building that Nomu. I mean,
I kind of always was disappointed in that too, since this is the first time you like really see him, and like Shigaraki obviously is more dangerous than you think, but he like holds himself back so much in this, and even the other guy, the
who's the he? Do you mean
Shigaraki?
Shigaraki.
Yeah. Hands on deck.
Yes.
Because it's like he, gets Eraserhead really well, and it's like he almost like breaks his arm off, and it's like you're like, whoa, like this guy definitely can't be messed with, and then he just doubts himself throughout the rest of the fight a lot, and that's where it's like supposed to be that way, but he just relies on the Nomu so much, which I get that he's supposed to fight All Might, but I'm like, Shigaraki could have probably took care of a lot of the kids.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean,
but then again,
it would be a different story.
It would.
Well, worse than that, it would be abject evil. I mean,
Yeah.
to take on kids and just kill them like that, I
Well,
don't think...
he's also a kid. He's
Yeah,
like
it's like
18, 19.
He's like older than them.
He's
a little
older
bit,
than
yeah.
them, but he's not like, like
he
All
maybe that
Might,
decay in
I actually
Aizawa.
had that as a question. I was like, because I'm like, he is older than them, but
he's
is a
not
kid.
that much older. He's
Yeah.
still a kid.
But so maybe his decaying quirk is making him decay because he looks older than
Like he's
18.
got like dry skin or something.
Yeah.
What's that, eczema? Or whatever
Yeah,
that
he
is?
does.
He needs
That's what
lotion.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. But yeah, that was the only thing that's again, he can't obviously go all out, and they can't all end in the season 1. But I just always thought it was like he has these cool parts, but then he just like steps away, and it's not like any of the other people are really like following his order besides like doing what they need to do, but he's just not doing anything, and it's like he's basically the voice of the villains, and he is the leader, I guess. And it's like I don't know, it just kind of, if you think about it, you're like, he doesn't do anything.
He doesn't do
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
It's at this point, although he does, didn't he? He almost decays.
Yeah,
Yes,
the arm. That's like the only thing he
Yeah.
does.
And he gets close to
He gets close to
to
Sue
Midoriya
and then
and-
Midoriya,
Yeah, yeah.
but
yeah.
Well, he did try, but
He
you're right.
tried,
He didn't
but-
do much.
But even if he like hugged All Might, he would murder him. I
Yeah.
think. He would just decay his body, I think.
yeah, I don't think he understands that he
does,
could.
at this point,
But maybe
does,
All Might would just like slap him and he'd just explode.
well, at this point, does All Might understand his quirk? Does he know who that is and what his
Well,
quirk
after
is?
no, not
See,
only that it's
then he would be
decay.
vulnerable because if he doesn't know yet, then he could very well.
But
fallen
Shigaraki
for
knows
it.
all of All
Yeah.
Might. So it's like,
Yeah.
you would
See,
think
If he
would-
honestly just walked in and just posed as a student and just touched
Yeah.
him,
All right, who is the
Honestly.
intelligence director of MHA? Because he's not doing his job. Like,
even, and this goes to a later episode, but it's like he even sizes himself up between Todoroki, Kirishima, Deku, and I forgot the one of the other guys, but again, 4 of the students who are pretty much like the top, and they're all like capable right now.
Mhm.
And he's like, all right, if you do this, like All Might, I think that's when Nomu still is in. And it's like Nomu can take care of this, and I can take care of these 3, very qualified students. And I'm like, that's even impressive. You might as well fight All Might if you're going to fight all 4 of these guys,
Yeah.
And even recognize that these weren't just your average students. that
Yeah,
these were-
because these are the ones that got through his men. So
Yes.
it's like, if he said he could do that, it's just like, why didn't you do anything from the beginning? I don't know. Again, he's a bad guy. He's probably good he did.
I definitely like Shigaraki. Like he has stages. Shigaraki has stages if
Yeah.
you haven't noticed. But
I
I
feel
like
he holds
him.
himself back.
Yeah,
a lot,
I like
though.
him when
Well,
he
it's because
gets
he's got all those hands all over him.
when he
You're
gets.
right. I didn't even put that into a pun, but he is literally holding himself back.
But he when Shigaraki, I start liking Shigaraki. It's when he I think season 4 and he gets the coat, the trench coat. That's a
Yeah.
different phase.
Yeah.
He starts like seeing himself more as like the leader, and then he knows he makes good decisions, and it's just like he
Is
gets
this-
less like a child.
Is this
a
pre
good
or
point.
post the All Might? All for One battle?
After All for
Yeah.
One gets taken,
You
he
see,
grows
that's-
up.
He pretty much has to because
Yeah, he grows
he's
up.
now the big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I get
After that, it's good, and he does have other phases after that, but that's when it starts.
I guess he has to grow, even
Yeah,
if he is older than these
it's
kids.
mostly it's mostly it's kind of, if you look at it, it's mostly Deku and Shigaraki parallel.
I was like,
Yeah.
Shigaraki, bad Deku.
I
Because
guess
he
you nailed it.
monologues a lot
Yes.
too. He's
Yeah.
like, oh, he only has this many times to do this. And when he breaks down Eraserhead's quirk, which is really cool, he's like, when your hair goes up and you
Yeah,
do
he
this,
figures
like,
it out. He's not stupid.
Well, that means he's analytical just like Deku.
Yeah.
Or Midoriya,
They're two
as you
sides of
should
the
say.
same coin. You'll see it later, but they are two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, you can see that's the real, rival. And they
Mhm.
obviously have technically kind of the same, more or less, teacher in some ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, I I put down for this one WTF for 13, because it's like that person got destroyed by themselves, and it's like there's nothing in there. It's like the
it's
whole
just a
back,
vacuum.
yeah. But the whole back of 13 gets like blown out,
yeah.
and it's
Mhm.
just darkness, and then they're like
Well,
pulling.
isn't
13
that a
up.
black hole though?
Yeah.
It's darkness. It's
Yeah, but does
it's
that mean
void.
13's a black hole?
Well, isn't that her quirk?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Or
but I
is
don't think
it whatever.
I don't
is
know.
It's quirk?
it totally got confirmed. I completely forget which one it was. I'm pretty
Oh.
sure it's a girl, but I could be wrong.
Okay,
So
let's
it's
say
kind
it's
of
a
like
girl.
the same, like the portal guy. Like there is like kind of a body,
Yeah,
but it's more or
yeah.
less just this
Yeah.
floating thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
It's
I
a
never
void.
thought of
He's
that.
interesting
Yeah.
too. I will say.
Oh, I love that character.
Remember him. He comes. He
when he's a
is
bartender,
important.
he's my favorite.
Yeah, he's
awesome.
important for the
It's
whole
like,
plot. Like,
why would you want somebody that doesn't have hands to pour you drinks? You know, it's like-
That
but
is
he wears
funny.
a good suit, so it's like,
Mhm.
whatever.
mhm.
All right. So, anything else we have to say with these two, so we can end this episode?
Oh yeah. Yeah. These are just funny, but electric guy, Kier,
Kaminari.
Kaminari,
The idiot. We have the
yeah.
idiot over there.
yeah, yeah, he is a human Pikachu and Full Metal Momo. I just put that down. So I just tried to make up characters. So I was like, wow, a lot of these people are other anime types. So
Have you seen Heroes Rising?
no.
Okay, you got to see
I'll
it.
watch it when we get to that.
There's
No, there's a great part in
you
that.
want me to
You
explain
got to
it?
see it. Go ahead.
Okay, so basically there's this part where they're doing the whole end game fight, final battle, whatever, that doesn't matter. It's they're doing a whole plan, and you know how in like shows or whatever it does the plan and the villains are like, what happened? And then they explain it. What basically happened was Bakugo kind of started explaining, oh yeah, this is how we took you down. And then we used the idiot as the lightning rod, and then it showed Kaminari.
He's all stupid.
He's like all stupid.
It's a great joke. That was probably the highlight of that movie. It really was.
It is
really
funny
funny.
when he gets like stupefied. It's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yes.
He has a powerful quirk, but
Yeah. Like I said,
huge
he's
downside.
just electricity.
yeah,
just run
it's a
rampant. So
huge quirk.
He needs to learn to control it, and he would.
Oh,
be
he
powerful.
tries. I think he tries his best.
and they definitely show his personality in that like little bit in the beginning where he is obviously, it said like in the notes and stuff where he's he's like talking to Momo and what's the other girl?
Jiro.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm useless unless you can give me a weapon. He's like, you guys got to do this until we get out of here. And
then he realizes.
Then he realizes he's the powerhouse, and he's like, I got you, girls. It's like you're such a jerk.
You're not impressive with
Not
it at
smart,
all.
yeah. And they're just like, you idiot. Yeah. So I thought that was that's really funny.
So I guess that's a good way to end this particular episode. Ryan, why don't you plug your podcast before we say goodbye? And
yeah, you can hear me and DJ talk about other nerdy stuff on the Bonsai Chat, and I'm gonna put out a new Bonsai beat this weekend. So if anyone's listening, check that out. YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Bonsai Chat.
Great. Well, thanks for listening. We appreciate every one of our listeners. We so do appreciate it. And go to anchor.fm or anywhere you listen to your podcast just about, you can hear us. And we'll see you next time.
Go beyond Plus Ultra!